Okay, so we are going to get started. First off, I just want to thank everyone for joining us on this rainy Friday morning. I hope everyone is safe and sound and healthy in their homes. So we are going to talk today about Box. We're going to focus on what Box is and talking about Box Cloud and the advantage of this and where it can be helpful for you here at TCU. As we get started, I just want to remind everyone that we're going to be using the chat feature within Zoom. So if you're in Zoom, a little bit to the right of where you can change your audio and video preferences, you see the chat option. Please use the chat if you've got any questions or comments, if I need to slow down, or if you want me to repeat anything. I have both Abby and Justin watching that chat, and they're going to be helping me out during that. So if you would please use the group chat, I really would appreciate it. And you can see Justin saying hello to everyone in there. So just be familiar with the group chat because that's a great way to be able to communicate during this presentation, and we can go ahead and take care of that. But again, thank you everyone for joining, and also thank you both to Abby and Justin for helping me out with this presentation. Okay, so the first question that we're going to go over, we're going to discuss the meeting agenda. So first, we're going to discuss what are TCU's data storage policies. So this is going to give that level overview so that we understand what data to put into Box and what data should not go into Box. And we're going to go into that in detail. Then we're going to discuss how much data you can put in Box and if there's any limits or anything you should be concerned about when utilizing Box so that you're aware of what the limitations are. Then we're really going to focus on Box Cloud. Box Cloud is the website login. We're going to go everything from just discussing what it is and how to get to it. Then we're going to discuss sharing folders and files, as well as collaborating and editing those folders and files that you've shared with Box. Then we're going to follow up with Box Drive and the mobile apps. These are the software-based applications for both your computer or your phone or tablet that allow you to get some more advanced features out of Box. We'll cover some additional resources after you've left this training that you can utilize if you have more questions. And then we're going to finish up with some questions and answers. So we're really going to hit up a lot of things in this hour. So I'm going to try to speak slowly. It is not one of my strengths, but we're going to be getting going. If you have questions, again, please just use the chat and we'll be monitoring that for you guys. Okay, so TCU's data storage policies. One of the big things I just want to point out is the difference that in the data storage policies, we are able to save private data in the Box, but we're not going to save confidential data into Box. So the difference between those two types of data, private data is data that if exposed would not pose significant harm to TCU or individuals. This is likely either proprietary data or for ethical or privacy reasons, we don't want to be sharing it, but it would not pose significant harm to TCU or individuals. The difference to that is the confidential data. This is data that has the possibility of having significant harm or impact to an individual or to the university if released. This is going to be more legal, regulatory, or contractual data that you might have regarding the university or individuals. So to give a bit of a example set for these, private data is going to be more like institutional research data. Maybe you're collaborating or working on some research. This is data that would be perfectly fine to store in Box. Even though it's something that's not public data at this time, it is not something that would pose a significant harm or risk to the university or individuals. If it had a large amount of information like email addresses or employment data, again, we don't want to put this publicly out there, but it is perfectly fine to put that in Box. Where we're looking at confidential data is more of the data that would have significant amount of credit card data, FERPA data, HIPAA data, payroll data, the type of information that, if released, could pose significant harm both to the university or to an individual. So that is data that we should keep on our common or personal drives and not be putting into Box. That's the big difference that we wanted to talk about as we begin. Is it is a great place for nearly all of your data, but some data it is not appropriate to put into Box. Okay, so now the storage limits. I'll tell you, Box is a great place to put your data because we have the most amount of storage of our other repositories of where you can put data. By default, all employees and students have 150 gigabytes of data put to their Box storage account. This exceeds what many of our TCU hard drives have in entirety. So this is a great place to put your data, as well as the fact that if you're just keeping data that you need on your TCU computer, you're not preventing issues if you were to have a hard drive failure, or if it's a laptop, what if it fell out of your bag? These are the type of scenarios where you could lose a lot of your data. Putting this data into Box secures your data, and it gives you the peace of mind of having that data available from any device and computer. If you need an increase in that size, so if the 150 gigs is not enough data, all you have to do is either submit a help desk ticket or reach out to the help desk by phone, and we're happy to increase that size for you. It's a simple process for us. We've just simply set a low limit that everyone gets, but we are able to raise that if there's a business reason to do so. So please reach out. If you are hitting that limit, just let us know. When you think about hitting the limit, one thing to think about is that if you create and share a folder, which we're going to get to in a little bit, if you are the creator of that folder, the content in that folder counts to your storage limit. So an example of this would be if you create a folder and you share it with your students and you ask them to upload data to it. As they're uploading information to it, and it might be video files or documents, as they're uploading that information, it is counting against your storage limits because you're the creator and originator of that file. So there are times where you might come up to that 150 gig limit, and if you simply reach out to the help desk, we'll be happy to take care of it. The other limit to talk about is that no single file can be greater than 15 gigabytes. So this is talking about just one file has to be smaller than 15 gigabytes. To give perspective, a 2-hour movie is often around about 4 gigabytes of data. So this 15 gig file limit should not be something that you reach or worry about. But if you do hit it and you are getting errors, if you reach out to the help desk, we can help look at that and see if we can come up with a different way of saving that data, or if there's a different repository or a place to be storing that. So that is something to think about. Is we cannot put very, very large files on there, but we do have a lot of capacity and a lot of storage space that is available to us. So this is a great resource to use, especially as we're transitioning off campus. This is the great resource to use so that all of your files that you need access to and the things that you need to share amongst your groups, you have nearly unlimited storage in compared to storing it on your local computer. Okay, is there any questions yet at this time? Again, just a reminder, if you have questions, please use the chat. Both Justin and Abby are watching that and they're helping me out with answering any questions that do come up. Okay, so what is Box? You know, at its simplicity, Box is just an online repository for your data, both folders and files. It's available to all employees and students here at TCU. It allows you to share files both inside TCU, but also sharing files outside of TCU. So it's a great way to collaborate with other universities or share things with individuals that don't have a TCU account. It gives you full access from any phone, tablet, or computer. So this is not something that has to be on TCU's network to access the resources like our shared drives. So I'm going to go ahead and show you a little bit about what Box looks like and how are you able to get to it. So here, one way to find Box is if you go to and just search for TCU Box, you're going to come across this page. This is a page that IT has put together. It's got resources, information, training, and links that are helpful for Box. I'm going to refer to this a few times during our presentation, but this is at it.tcu.edu/box. This is a great resource for you to use if you have questions or you just want to know where to go for Box. If you always remember it's at the TCU Box website, you know that you can easily find that. Right here underneath the header is a link for login to Box. Clicking on that is all you need to log in and get to the Box website so that you log in with your TCU credentials. The other way that I like to recommend people to use is to go to tcu.okta.com. Some of you are already familiar with this website, but this is the website that has every web-based login that you have here at TCU all in one place. So by going to tcu.okta, this is a great thing to just getting in your routine is when you need to access something, go to tcu.okta.com, log into there, and then you're looking at the tiles and you're going to find everything that you need in the tiles. So in this case, we've got a tile called Box. All we do is click on it. It brings us to the page and logs us in because we've already logged into the Okta website. So this is a great way to get to Box. Both of those get to the same page, but that page is going to just be a website where you can see files and folders. So here we've got a couple of examples where there's a few folders and there's a few files, and they're all sitting here, and I can click on them, manipulate them. I can create and edit things from here. This is a web-based visual look at the files and folders that we have. So at the very basic, Box and Box Cloud is just a website that holds our files. Go back to our PowerPoint here. So the third way you can go is tcu.box.com, but I don't like having to memorize the URLs to get to things. So I showed you two resources that if you can go to those resources, you'll be able to get directed to Box. And then you get full access. That's where you can go. That website gives you everything you need for accessing Box. So Julie's asking, can she get an icon on her desktop like Zoom? You can put shortcuts on your desktop yourself, and that's something that we can talk about. We can get you additional information later about how to put a shortcut on your desktop, but also I'm going to get to talking about Box Drive, which is a solution that we're going to talk later in this presentation, which will mean that you don't need that shortcut. So if you can just hold on for me, we'll get to that. Okay, so Box Cloud, I'm going to show you a little bit about what the different colors and look and feel to Box Cloud come from. So if you look here, we've got two folders, but the folders have a different color. The reason they're a different color is because they have different permissions. A yellow folder, that manila yellow folder, is going to be a folder only available to your login. It's a private folder. It is not shared with anyone. So this is very much like a folder you had on your desktop to begin with. This is a folder that you can put things in, you can manipulate, but it is not shared with anyone. The blue folder indicates that this is a folder shared with someone. It could be a folder someone has shared with you. It could be a folder that you have shared out with someone else. But it instantly turns it blue when you set something to shared because it's letting you know visually that this is not private to you. So you can be aware that what you're putting in this folder, someone else has some level of access to. I don't have an example here, but if someone outside of TCU shares a folder with you, for instance, if you're collaborating with another professor on a project and they have Box and they share a Box folder with you, it will be gray. Gray is indicating that its owner is not within TCU, but you do have access to the folder. So again, three different visual indicators. And I'm going to show you a little bit about that. So when you've got a shared folder, underneath a folder, if I create, so I've got my private folder, if I create a new folder, and I call it new folder, and then I save that folder, it's going to create a folder and it's still going to be private because I didn't share it with anyone. But if I go back up and I go into the shared folder, one thing to note difference is the shared settings apply both to the folder and everything under that folder. So if I go to new and I go folder, and I create a folder here, even though I'm not sharing it with anyone as I'm creating the folder, because the folder above it is shared, it automatically kept the folder blue to let me know that it is a shared and not a private folder. So I'm just showing you at the high level that there is a difference in the colors, and those colors do mean something in the hierarchy of how Box is sharing your files and structuring your files. So again, on my slide deck, we've got the three colors. The yellow manila is personal, the blue is a shared, and the gray is shared from someone outside of TCU. If you share a folder, you're sharing all of the content underneath that folder. So when you select a folder and share it, just be careful and cognizant of what you're sharing underneath that folder or what else might be in that folder. You're sharing everything within that folder. You can share and give multiple individuals co-ownership. This is great for teams and departments to use. I know a lot of us use our common drives for accessing department files, but switching over to Box, especially because of us all working from home, is a great way not to have to be on the TCU network, yet being able to access all the files that you guys need as a team. Okay, so we're going to go back and get a little bit more into sharing. I'm going to show you a couple of differences with sharing and the permission levels that you guys have set. So the first thing I want to do is I'm just going to go ahead and share a document. So I'm going to take a document that's right here, and I'm going to choose the option to share it. So when I choose to share a document, it's a slight difference from a folder. So sharing a file, you've got editor rights and you've got viewer rights. Those are your two options that you're able to share out. We're going to talk, and I'm going to show you a little bit more about folders, that you do have more rights there for folders. But if you're sharing just a specific file, you've got editor and viewer. So this is whether or not you want someone to be able to manipulate the document or just look at the document. I think a lot of times if you share out a syllabus or information to your students, you would just want to give them viewer access, because you don't want a student changing up your syllabus and saying that they have the authority to do so. So you want to select for them to have viewer access. But a lot of times, and by default, the person you're sharing with, you're going to give them editor privileges. So that is the default setting. So I'm going to go ahead and add Abby. And this has got the TCU directory already included. So as I've typed Abby, I see her full name and email address here. And the same thing when I type in for Justin, I can see his full name and email address. So that's a very nice feature, is that if they are a TCU individual, you're already halfway through just by typing in their name of locating them. If it's for someone outside of TCU, you can share with them. You're just going to need to put in their full email address and just paste it into this field right here. You are able to do a custom message. I rarely do this, but what it's doing is it's going to send that individual's email address an invitation to collaborate and share on that document. This allows you to add a special message, maybe explaining why you're sharing that with them. And if that's appropriate, you can go ahead and add it in this place. And then we go ahead and click send. What that does is now we've got a little logo. It lets me know that collaborators have been invited. As those collaborators accept the invitation, the logo is going to change up a little bit. So that is how, as the simplest way, we're able to share a file. We're just selecting editor, viewer, and we're entering the individuals that we're sharing it with. We can share a folder as well. So I'm going to select share on a folder. Now, my invite as editor, when I select that, I now have multiple options that are available to me. Let me see if I can scale this down a little bit. Okay, so when I've selected a folder, we now have additional options. So when I share a folder, I can do co-owner. This gives someone all the privileges that an owner has. So this is if they want to delete files, add files, all the privileges you think they might need. So maybe a department chair is collaborating on this and they want to invite their administrator. You would go ahead and probably make them a co-owner, because they're going to want to manipulate that folder and the files underneath it. We default to editor. Just like with files, we default to editor. there's additional options. One of the ones I wanted to point out was Uploader. Uploader is a great choice if you're sharing a folder with your students and you're telling them, I want you to submit something for your grade. I want you to submit a paper. I want you to submit to me some information. You can share a Box folder and give them Uploader access. That allows them to put files into the folder, but it does not allow them to go look at the files that are in that folder already. So they cannot go look at other students' information, but they can put the information into that folder for you. So that's one option that is going to be appropriate in some circumstances as you're sharing files with students or with other individuals that you might want to only be able to contribute, and they can't even go back in and see that information that's in the folder. So that's one thing that I wanted to point out. So once we have that shared, we can invite them as an editor, and we invite, and that's all we need for sharing. This is already a blue folder. It was already shared. But if you notice, I'm going to take a private folder. I'm going to share that by taking a private folder and selecting someone to share. That private folder now turns blue. So it's not that you have to set this once and then you can never change it. By sharing it, it's going to turn it blue. If I go in and share, I can select Abby, and then I can go ahead and either change her editorship rights, or I can manage and change that for her. So I'm able to edit from here and remove people and manipulate them as we go. So that's one thing, is once you set things, it's not a one-time and done. You're able to make changes. You're able to turn things back to private, etc. So I'm going to show you. So the one way we've shown you so far how to share is inviting a collaborator. You're specifically inviting an individual and specifying by email address who that individual is. Box also gives you the ability to invite people using a shared link. So this is the same on both folders and files, is enable the shared link. You now have this shared link, and you have 3 options to present. So who are you sharing with? We've got people in your company, people with the link, and invited people only. By default, we've selected it to only share with people in the company, meaning only people with a TCU login. This is the default setting and normally should be left alone. The times we would say people with the link is if maybe you're collaborating with someone outside of the university. You would definitely want to change this to people with the link, because if you did not select that, then if they don't have a TCU login, they wouldn't be able to use the link to access the file or the folder. But normally, just go ahead and keep it with people with the company. Invited people only is referring back to what we were doing earlier, where we invite them by name here. So if you have invited an individual, they have access. But just because they've clicked on a link, even if they have the link, they still can't get into this. So this is a great way where you're able to share information with your students, but you've specified who are my students, and that way another friend, or they can't forward the links to other people, and those other individuals being able to access the files and folders. By inviting people, you restrict who can access the link to only those people you have specifically invited. So those are the 3 options for who are we sharing with, whether it's for everyone, no matter what, only TCU, or only people we've invited. The other thing is choosing, now that we've selected who we're inviting, what access level do they have? So the 2 options are can view and download, or can view only. So this is another one where you just have to think through what's appropriate for the level of access you're giving. By default, we select can view and download. That is the default settings when you share a link. You can change that to can view only. And I want to give you an example of when we did that recently. We had the dean candidate searches. We did do some video of those searches, and we shared that out to all of the university. When we did share that video, we chose can view only. And what that meant was we didn't want people to download that folder and then be able to manipulate that video or share that from there. We just wanted them to watch the presentation. So we selected the option can view only. So that's the second setting that you can manipulate, and the defaults are can view and download. The third thing applies to this red logo. This red logo is telling me that this link expires in September. We, by default, expire shared links after about 6 months. So that's something to watch, is that we do expire these links by default. This link settings is where you can adjust that. So if you don't want the link to ever expire, you can simply uncheck this box and save it, and it will never expire. But by default, we expire it after 6 months. This is really good when you're thinking about sharing with your students. You might send out a link, but then after the class is over, that link, without you having to go back in and remember, their access will go away after 6 months. So that's why we have it set up that way. Now you might want to adjust this and go into the calendar, because you might have a summer class and it might only be a month or a month and a half long. And instead of sharing for 6 months, you might want to select only for a month. So you can go in and manipulate this, but by default, we share our links only for 6 months and then they expire. So if you've been sharing documents and sharing links out, and you get someone to reach out and say that they no longer have access, one thing to do is to go into the shared settings and choose link settings to make sure that the date has not expired on the shared link. So that's something to pay attention to when you're sharing. Are there any questions yet at this time? Okay, so we were just talking about sharing, and this is the example where a folder has a few options different than a file when it comes to sharing, but the default is editor. When you've chosen that, the defaults are to share it with people in your company and that they can both view and download. And then the third thing is that links are set to expire after 6 months, but you can choose link settings to adjust that. So that's what we wanted to cover when it comes to sharing and collaborating files and folders. Okay, so now we're going to we've talked about how to get to Box. We've talked about how to create and share folders and files. Now we're going to get into how do we manipulate folders and files. So this is the next set of features that Box gives you, is that not only can you just move files in there and use it like storage, but you can edit from that storage space without ever having to move the document out to manipulate it. So here we're looking at our folders, and what I can do is have 3 ways of editing that document. In Box Cloud right here, I can click on this Word document. Simply clicking on the document will pull up a new tab, and I'm going to see the document. This one happens to be blank, so there's nothing really to see. It's just a blank Word document. But you see, I don't have a lot of features. It's really a view only with some slight manipulation within Box Cloud. So I am able to open the documents. It's really nice because you want to quickly look at a PDF or an Excel sheet. You can do so by just clicking on the document, but you can't do a lot. One thing to pay attention is this open right here. So I'm seeing open, and I've got Microsoft Word and Microsoft Word Online. So even if I've only opened it in the Box Online, just know that you can also get to it. The next step that we're going to talk about, if you've already opened it, you can get to it from open here. But I'm going to go back out to all my files and folders, and I'm going to show a different way to get to this. So when you're here, what you can do is you can open up this document. And when I choose open with, I'm only seeing Word Online here, but other documents I'm going to see like this PowerPoint. I see Microsoft PowerPoint and PowerPoint Online. I'm going to start for the presentation calling this Office. So instead of Word, PowerPoint, Excel, I'm going to say Office or Office Online. The difference between these two options is whether you are using the application, the Microsoft Office application that is on your computer, or whether you're using the cloud. So if I select Microsoft PowerPoint right here, or in this document, I'm going to select Open With, and I see Microsoft Excel. If you select that, what it's going to do is it's going to open the document within your computer's version of Excel, PowerPoint, Word, etc. This is really nice because you're opening the document, it's opening it, it gives you every bit of features and capabilities that the program on your computer has. And when you save it, it saves it right back into here, and you get this little V and a number, meaning version 10 in this case. So you're able to see that you modified this version, but you're modifying it with the applications on your computer. And this is really nice, but the limitation it has is that it should only be used when one person is working on it at a time. If you have shared files with people and you choose to open with Excel and then you save it, if someone else was doing the same thing and hit save after you, they would overwrite the changes you made. And this has the potential to be a frustration and a loss of time and work. The option that we want to point out is the Open with Excel Online. So this is the version. So I'm going to do it with Word because I think our collaborators are in there. This, if you do Word Online, it's going to open up a new tab for you. When it opens up that tab, I have the ability to type in here. But the nice thing is that as other individuals sign on and collaborate and select the Open with Word Online, they're able to collaborate in real time with the document. So I'm going to leave it up for a little bit and let both Justin and Abby jump in here. And you're going to be able to see that they can jump in and make changes to that document. And I'm able to see that in real time. Up here, I start to see who is in the document at the same time I am. So I can actually see who signed in, but then I can see that they are typing and they're manipulating that document. So this allows, so if you choose the online version, it allows you two things. One, the ability to edit in real time with multiple people without losing anything. The second key thing is you notice that it just opened up a tab in my browser. It didn't launch Office for me. So if you're on your personal computer or on a shared computer at a library, or if you don't have Office on that computer, you're still able to give full editing rights to that document just by using your browser. So if you're talking to your students and they might not have some software on their computer, or they tell you, oh, I only have the Google Docs, or I don't have those capabilities, you can have them use the file in box and open it in Word Online, and then they have every bit of capability that they would if they had Word installed on their computer. So this is a great way to do real-time collaboration. It saves the formatting and the file structure. So this is a better option than using Google Docs in a lot of examples. And the only downside is there are some more basic features to your editing and manipulation here than you might have with the full suite. You shouldn't really run into this too much, but I'll say an example was I was working on a PowerPoint, and when I was doing some of my animations, I didn't have all the features that I have in the whole desktop version of PowerPoint. But the intention of this is more the quick and simple edits, or we've already got the document and we're collaborating on it. You still do have the option to upload a file that you've worked on with your Office on your computer, but this gives you a lot of capabilities to editing it after the fact. And to save it, it's automatically saving. So simply by closing the tab, you're saving that document and the changes you've made. But I wanted to point out, I only see Open with Word Online on this document, and I don't see the other options because it was already open by someone with Word Online. So if someone's got it open with Word Online, you can't then open it with Microsoft Word because it knows that that would create a conflict once someone saves it using Microsoft Word. So it actually disables that option. But if you haven't opened it with online, you'll see both Office and then Office Online. So you should see that there. Those are the three main ways that you can go ahead and edit. So I'm going to look, I see some chat. Do you need special permissions to use online versions? Absolutely not. That's the great thing is about permissions and access and what you need on it. If you do Word Online or Office Online, you have everything you need. So it's a great opportunity to use, especially when you're not on a TCU computer. So the first person to close saves and changes. Everyone, as they're writing on it, it's saving in real time. if you want to get out, you can just close the document. You don't have to go specifically and say to save the document. So when I go back in here, it is constantly saving when you're in this online version. If you're familiar with Google Docs, it operates a very similar way. As people are in it, it's real time making edits. What's kind of funny about it is as you're doing this, you'll go back and you'll notice the version numbers start incrementing really fast when you do Word Online, because as people are making changes, it's making saves. So just for a few minutes, we already went up 2 versions, and if we refresh, we've probably gone up a couple more since then. So you do not have to specifically identify that you're saving. Just closing out of your browser is all that you need to be doing. Okay, any other questions when it comes to editing documents within BoxCloud? Yeah, so Justin's pointing out that you can see that it's saving in real time. So I wanted to show you, and this is just a visual, that you've got PDFs, you've got PowerPoints, Excel, and Word are all available to do this feature of the online editing. You can do BoxCloud editing. That's where it had very limited features, but we don't recommend it. You can edit files in Office, but only one editor can do that at the time, and it is using the version of Office on your computer. We recommend editing with Office Online. Multiple individuals can edit at the same time, and it's perfect for personal or shared computers that don't have Office installed. Okay, so that really wraps up what I wanted to point out about the cloud interface to Box and BoxCloud. Now we're going to start talking a little bit about the pro features that you can get out of Box that get you outside of having to go to the website. So you don't always have to go to the website to manipulate your files and folders in Box. There is something called Box Drive. Box Drive is available on their website. It's at box.com/drive, but you can also go back to that helpful page that we've put together in technology with Box at TCU. And I'm going to scroll down a little bit. And we've got instructions on information about Box Drive, as well as we're pointing you to the download. So just all you have to remember is that there is a download. Wondering where the download is, you can go back to the TCU resources and we'll point you to those. But Box Drive is a software application you actually have to install either on a Mac or a PC. It works for both. So Box Drive, what changes out of Box Drive and what's really nice there is that now, so I'm on my Windows computer, and I now see Box here in my Windows computer. Just like I'm used to my desktop and my documents, I now see Box. Once I've downloaded and installed Box Drive, it lets me see the files and folders that I have. So if you notice, I can see everything that I was able to see in the website, but I'm able to see it on my computer without having to go to the website. So that's the huge feature of Box Drive. And it's also why we don't really need to put a shortcut to BoxCloud on your computer, because I think Box Drive is a better solution for you at that time. The thing to pay attention to with Box Drive is the icons that appear. So if you notice, these have like a cloud looking icon. That's letting us know that the data, the file and the folder is available in BoxCloud. It's saved in the cloud. So it's letting me know that it is ready and available in the cloud. What it's not doing is taking up any space on my computer's hard drive. This is the great feature about Box Drive, is if you've been running out of space on your TCU computer, you can install Box Drive, move files into Box Drive, and then you won't be using your computer's storage space, but you'll have full access to that file or folders. So it's really nice. Now, you only have full access if your computer is online. So if your computer is offline, you would not have access to folders and files that are only stored in the cloud. So this is giving you an indicator that it's only stored in the cloud. Now, you do have the ability to get offline access. Simply right-clicking on the folder, I have the option right here that says Make Available Offline. it's going to do exactly what it's saying it would do. If I select this, it's going to change the icon to green to let me know that it is available now both in the cloud and on my computer. When you've selected to make available offline, this is when that folder and the contents inside that folder are all now stored on your computer and are taking up space on your computer. So it is something to remember, is that now it means it's taking up space on your computer. But if I was traveling, I might want to take the project or something that I'm working on, choose to mark it for offline access. So that way, while I'm traveling, I can access everything. And then the next time I get online, those changes and modifications I've made will sync back up with Box Cloud once I get back offline. So we've covered the cloud and the green logo. There is an orange logo that's kind of got a circle. That means that it's syncing. It either means that it's syncing from your computer up to Box Cloud if you're uploading, or it means that you're syncing from Box Cloud to your computer if you've selected the make available offline. So I'm going to show you an example of that. So I'm going to make this document and say, so you can't specify individual documents in Box Drive to sync to your computer. You have to do it by a folder. So you've got to only select to sync a folder offline. It'll sync the contents of that folder, but you can't specify document by document. Now, I like to say, just take that document, create a new folder, and say, travel folder 2010, and then move a few files into that folder. You sync that folder, then that gives you only the files you were wanting to sync. But if you say make available, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move something there. So I'm going to go to, let's go to my documents. I'm going to take my Adobe folder and I'm going to move it into Box. So once I go there, if you notice, now I've got an orange circle logo. It's letting me know that it will be available in Box, but it's not yet available. So if you were on your laptop, you wouldn't want to have closed your laptop and assumed that it was already synced and walk away. But now that it's got the cloud logo, that means that the sync is complete and all those files are available both in Box Cloud and on my Box Drive access. So you're able to sync up and you're able to sync down. This all comes down to whether or not it's stored on your computer and taking up space or not. So I'm going to go back and we will look at the chat here. Okay, so yes, and I apologize, the screen was kind of low, so I'm going to show you this. This lets you see the icons a little better and a little brighter. You've got cloud, you've got syncing, and you've got it's marked for offline access. Those are your three options of the common signals you're going to see in Box Drive. So hopefully that's a little bit better to read. The other thing, as we mentioned, Box Drive, it's great for TCU computers or computers where you can install applications. If you don't have rights to install an application, then you can still get to your Box content. You're just going to have to use the website of Box Cloud. The other reason to use Box Drive is if you need offline access. Where are they stored? As long as the default setting is only storing it in Box Cloud, you can change that by marking it for offline access. But while in Box Cloud, it does not take up space on your computer. And if you make it available offline, it's in now both places. And as long as you're online, it's syncing back and forth between the two places, but it is taking up space on your computer at the time. So Lori's asking, where do you save Box Drive to on the computer? When you install the program, it installs the program and then it asks you to sign into your TCU Box account. That's all that you need. And then on a Windows computer, after you've installed it, you'll notice that I now have Box over to the side as one of my folders, like where I have other folders. So now that I see that box right there, everything under here means that this is what's in my box. So I didn't specify that. That's simply by installing the program, it goes ahead and puts it there. Windows also has these quick access items. And you can, if you have a folder within Box, you can make it a favorite to put it in your quick access, but I really don't want to go into that right now. By default, it's just going to have Box logo. And if you click on that logo, just like the file and folder, it's going to have everything there. On a Mac, it's extremely similar. It's going to show in Finder, and it's going to show it on the left-hand toolbar. You're going to see something that says Box, and that's how you can get into Box. You'll notice it isn't on this PC. So I have this PC and I have my desktop and documents. It's not part of that. It's something separate from that because it's something that that program created. Does that help with everyone? Okay. So Box Drive, I really encourage you to put this on your computer. I really think this is a much better option as long as it doesn't have confidential data that you're sharing to share your common files you use within your department, because this means that people can access it from everywhere. They're not limited to only being at TCU to access it. And as you noticed, you have access just like you're comfortable with. You can move and manipulate files and open them just like they're on your computer. It really doesn't make that go away, but it means that right now, as we've all transitioned off-site, to get to a lot of the files on our common share, people are having to use the VPN. And if you use Box Drive for where you put your documents, you wouldn't need the VPN at all. The other thing I'm going to point out in one of the really great things as we go into Box Mobile. So Box Drive lets you access your files and everything on your computer. Box Mobile allows you to access your files and everything on either a phone or a tablet. It's available both for iOS and Android. If you go to the App Store for either and you search for Box Mobile, you'll see an app from Box, and you download, install that, and you sign in, and instantly now you have access to all of your files and folders that are in Box. Now, you don't have to put the app on there. You could also go to the website and you could see the files there. But I really think that this is another great feature of Box, of having the Box mobile app. We've been talking and talking about how if it's in Box Cloud, it doesn't take space up on your computer. Well, it's the same thing for Box Mobile. Box Mobile gives the ability to share and save files, pictures, videos, but not take up any space on your mobile device. Now, I've worked with a couple of professors, and we've used this with their students, where we've encouraged their students to go download Box Mobile, and then they were under a project where they needed to do a video of a mock counseling session, or a video of a demonstration where they were leading a lecture or a class. So they'd ask them to take videos of that. Well, with Box Mobile, we were able to get past a lot of the concerns or the needs that the students had that they weren't able to fit. By using Box Mobile, it made it a much simpler experience. Instead of telling the students, okay, you need to take the video, then you need to save the video, you need to go put it here, and then you need to submit it to D2L, and giving them a list of instructions that was half a page long. If they've got Box Mobile on their phone or tablet, they can record the video and use, and now Box is a share option. So they could instantly save the video straight to the folder that you've shared them with them. And that's everything they've had to do. It doesn't take up any space on their computer, on their phone or tablet. So they don't have to save it. They don't have to then try to move it and transfer the data. It's going instantly from their phone into Box Mobile and not taking up space on their actual phone. So this eliminates a lot of barriers, and it's a one-step process of, well, two-step. Record the video and move the video into your Box Mobile folder is all they were needing to do. And it uses the natural built-in sharing features, just like they're used to sharing by Facebook or used to sharing different things out to their friends and family. They're using Box Mobile as a way to share that content straight to you in a very intuitive way, and something they're very used to and accustomed to, rather than forcing them to manipulate into D2L and wondering about those file size restrictions and some of the restrictions that occur within D2L. So Box Mobile is a great platform. It's available both for iOS and Android in the App Store, and allows them to get everything they need without taking up space. As a byproduct, it's a great thing for you, because if you're out and about and you're not sitting at your desk and someone asks you a question about something that you know you've got saved in Box, you're able to pull it up, you're able to view it. You could even, if you download the Office, which are also free, the Office tools for your mobile phone, you could even pull up a document, make edits to the document, and then save it, and it's going to save it back to Box Cloud. So if you've ever left the office after sharing something and realized that you made a typo, or that you needed to add something as you're driving home and you have some thoughts, you're able to manipulate that very quickly, even from your mobile phone or tablet. So it's something that we like to point out and encourage you to experiment with and use, because it's a great feature for your students and for yourself. So Julie's asking about Box Sync. Box Sync has been replaced with Box Drive. Box Sync has gone away, is really what you have to think about. Box Drive is the new version of Box Sync. So if you've ever heard of Box Sync, just kind of put that out of your mind. It's now Box Drive. It went away with Windows 8, and we should all be over on Windows 10. So if you have personal Box as well as TCU Box, can you access both on Box Mobile? You are able to access both on Box Mobile, but we're not going to show that in the tutorial right now. But what you'll probably have to do is sign in and out of Box Mobile. So you'll have to log out of Box Mobile and log back in, depending on which version you're wanting access to. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to go into, so we've covered a lot here, but there's even more. So we've pointed back to that TCU Box website, and I want to recommend that you go back there and look over that. It's got links, it's got explanations and tutorials, it's got some videos. It's a great repository if you want to find out some more information. The other thing is the Box University. So this is community.box.com. And this is the community that's out there that's not TCU based, that's out there explaining the use of Box, helping people through problems, helping people think through how to use Box in alternative ways or creative ways to support their students and support their own needs. So Box University is another great resource for any questions or suggestions or help tips. You can go to Box University. And then there's our IT support desk. We are available both by phone and chat and our self-service tickets. You can reach out to us and we can help you out with Box, but we do feel there's a lot of information that you're able to find by going to that Box website or to Box Community. So those are the resources for how to kind of take the next steps, or as you're experimenting, as you have questions, those are your ways to find out some information and get through any hurdles you might have. And I know we've covered a lot. Does anyone have any questions or anything that I need to help them out with, or is there anything I need to clarify? I'll leave up this this slide because it lets you know where to go to. You might want to write down those websites. How to add a PDF to Box? Well, it's simply dragging and dropping, but that's a really good question. So I'm going to go back to Box here. So I've got Box open. I'm going to take a file, and simply by dragging a file over, so I'm going to go into my desktop. I don't know how much, let's go to documents. Simply grab a file and move it over into the Box Cloud website is a way that you're able to move any document of any type into Box. If you notice, it just took a little bit of time, and then now it was available there. That's using Box Cloud. Now, I also strongly encourage using the Box Drive, and if I wanted to move a file, I simply would move it like I move any file on my computer. So moving the file into, and I'm going to move it into the Adobe folder just to show you you're able to move it into folders. Once I've moved it, it changes to the orange circle, so it's syncing. And then once it's uploaded, it's going to change it back into the cloud. So now I know that that file is in the cloud. But it doesn't matter the file type. The only difference is that the Office files, you can do the real-time collaboration with using the cloud, and that's only available with the Office files. Okay. Well, I thank everyone for their time. I hope you've learned something, and I hope you'll be able to find ways that Box is a great resource for you here at TCU. If you have any more questions or information, you can reach out. You can do some more exploration yourself, but please let us know if there's any way that we can help you. I'm going to go ahead and end this session, and thank you all very much for your time.